This documentary is about how enlistment standards have changed and if the numbers reflect how they've changed. Name, rank, and how long have you been in?
My name is Brent Van Syok. I am the rank of Petty Officer 2nd Class on our Technician Submarine 2nd Class to be exact. I've been in the Navy approximately 8 years.
How does lowering the enlistment standards increase retention?
Lowering the enlistment standards increases retention by adding opportunity to people that otherwise wouldn't be afforded said opportunities before. It kind of opens up this gateway of, I guess, people really finding themselves as a person, affording them that opportunity where, in other words, they may not have been able to find those opportunities.
How does the Navy standards allow for recruiters to endorse the branch?
How does the Navy recruiting standards allow for religion? Okay. The way that we can basically endorse the branch, I know everybody's probably seen it online as far as enlistment bonuses, stuff like that. But in my opinion, if you're joining the service for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. We afford opportunity, on-the-job training, college education, being able to walk into vocational schools and having 80% of the school done before you even start. That's another incentive. So yeah, the money's great and all, but like that's one of those little bow on the top kind of things. It's kind of like when you buy your dream car, they put the bow on top. That's basically what the bonuses are.
Okay. How have enlistment numbers gone up or down?
Enlistment numbers have gone up recently. There's been a lot of people that are leaning away from college and leaning more towards vocational schools, trade schools. They don't want to go to school for 4 years for a piece of paper with no job experience. They want something tangible that they can actually show, hey, I have X amount of hours working with X system and I can work in any kind of career field in Y category.
My last question to you is, do you see that numbers have changed in some areas as the Navy's providing more?
I have seen the numbers definitely change. There are a lot of people that may not be medically qualified at one point that do become medically qualified. There's a lot of people that, you know, are less on the mental aspect as far as like test scores and stuff like that. But us lowering our standards from a 31 down to a 10 has afforded people opportunities. So there's like a 21, because if we do the math on that, 31 minus 10, 21%. So a 21 percentile of people that would not have qualified previously that are now afforded that opportunity. So if you look at it that way, people that score between a 10 and a 31, if they can't find a job out in the civilian sector and they can't get that opportunity, where are they going to look to? They're going to look to us. They're going to look to, you know, work in these smaller on-call jobs. They're going to be working DoorDash, stuff like that. But instead, we're offering them a career option instead of a paycheck option.
All right. Well, thank you. That's the last of my questions that we have. And
not a problem.
All right. What is your name, rank, and time in?
Alan Martin, Master Sergeant, 28 years.
So I've got a couple of questions written down here. My first one is that, do you see enlistment numbers change as some areas of the Air Force are providing more leniency?
Yes. Depending on the area that you want to go in, I see that a lot of people getting kind of just grandfathered into the position than actually being like built up and trained for that position.
My second question to you is, do you think that lowering standards within the military could put future airmen at risk for injury?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Especially in the fire department and career field. We are under dangerous conditions from the time we come in till the time we come home. And I don't feel comfortable as a supervisor putting someone who is just not that in tuned or ready for something like that into a dangerous situation.
My third question is, how have enlistment numbers gone up or down?
So since 9/11, this department has, at one point, was on a 2-page waiting list of people trying to get in. Now, since the changes in staff, or the changes in the DAF man, and the changes in what the world's coming to, different wars, soon to be wars, stuff like that. It is now increasingly going down because people just don't want to deploy to those areas anymore.
The next question is, how does the Air Force standards allow for recruiters to endorse the branch?
Right now, if you go to any other section except for the fire department and EOD, I think that the way they do their PT standards is that some people just barely skate by. But if it was for fire, not only do you have to pass the Air Force PT, you have to pass the fire department PT. And a lot of people think, well, that's one and the same. No, the fire department PT is twice as hard and twice as grueling than just the regular, let's just run 2 miles.
All right. My last question for you is, do you think that the changing of the standards within the military affects retention rates?
Oh, yes. Because some people, if they make it too hard, people don't want to stay in. If they make it too easy, then you have a bottleneck of people who are just stuck in that position that can't go anywhere.
All right, that concludes all of the questions that I have for you today, and thank you for spending time with us. Can I get your name, rank you retired at, and the years you served?
Robert Dale Martin, retired as Master Sergeant, and 37 years.
As military standards for physical and both ASVAB scores have decreased, do you see or think that there is an increase in retention, younger people still wanting to stay in?
No. Money is the only thing that's going to get them to stay in.
So you think that their basic pay is not enough to keep the
Right.
younger guys in?
Right.
You don't think the benefits outweigh that?
Mm-mm.
The next question I have is, do you see as the branches have, well, some branches have lowered their standards, and as you know, the Marine Corps has a tendency to keep their standards the same. Do you think that more people are able to leave one branch for another?
If people leave one branch for the other, it's usually for an increase of rank, okay, and more benefits.
Mhm.
You know, they're looking to get something out of it. I really think that Marines, for the most part, the people are going in for the pride of it,
For the title?
for the title. They know it's going to be tough. It's going to be tougher than anything else, you know.
Mhm.
But they're not worried about the tough,
Right.
you know.
My next question is, do you think that the decrease of these standards is putting senior airmen, airmen that are already enlisted, or officers in danger?
Sure. 'Cause I don't think as they decrease those standards, they're getting less and less competent people all the time. And when you go through basic training, you've only got, is yours 8 months, your basic training?
8 weeks.
8 weeks? See, they don't have much time to put into you, you know.
Mhm.
And so your tech school is where you're going to learn more than basic training by far,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, do you think that the military should increase and focus more on their physical standards instead of decreasing, or more of their mental standards, such as raising their ASVAB score and decreasing their fitness score?
Depends on the branch of service. If you're a ground pounder, you know, if you do what the majority of Marines and Army does, I would never lower the fitness thing for any reason at all. Usually the Navy and the Air Force are a little more technical sometimes. That's not to say that there isn't a whole lot of real technical stuff in the Marine Corps and the Army. It's just they have fewer technical jobs, you know, because of what you're required to do.
Now, as a difference between when you were in and now, would you have felt confident in the same situations that you were in when you served that you would now with these lower standards?
I would say no, I wouldn't feel more confident. You know, I think the requirements in the past, the higher requirements, gave you more confidence because you knew what you accomplished. You knew what you accomplished was tough, or tougher than it is now. I did a lot of training of young men like you, and it's extremely hard on someone that goes in with less than adequate smarts, okay? Because some of the work, like your grandfather did and I did, electronic stuff, was extremely technical, and you had to really get into it. It wasn't going to be easy. However, the physical stuff wasn't bad at all. Coming out of high school, you've probably got, for most branches of service coming out of high school, you probably got all the physical stuff you're going to need. If you wrestled, you played football, you ran track or something, you probably got that physical readiness. The only thing you need is to be tested, extremely tested, to see how much you know you can take. I'm not sure if that exactly answers your question, but
I'm pretty sure that covered the basic. Military numbers have dropped from 8.2 million from 1968 during the military draft era to now around 1.3 million, meaning that only 1% of Americans enlist to serve in the military.